take 10% of your income and give back to society.
For the entire school year. And we have centralized kitchens that operate in 10 states, feed children in 10,770 schools. All of them are. I think when you are talking about linking something like philanthropy or giving back, I consider it more than charity. I think it's our social responsibility to give back to India. Philanthropy is one of the ways, and the easiest way for our youth to connect with India is to see where their parents came from, which is right at home. The example is right here in this room. We are the movers and shakers of this community that we call the Indiaspora. For us, it's easy because we are the role models. Our children take up after us, and they take these values back to India when they visit the homeland and visit and see what India is all about. And they see where their parents came from. They see where the next generation of India is coming from, where they are, how much.
I'd just like to pose a question or is a thought for you to consider. This did not happen democracy alone, but there has to be some contribution by the culture, by the civilization, by the ethos, by the a very subtle contribution, but this is studied, investigated, researched, and nurtured, so much so that it will not stop with this generation, but this pattern of excellence will continue to perpetuate generation after cultural and civilizational contribution. This is about the culture or about the diaspora success. The second part I want to briefly comment about a particular segment of the youth, the university college-going population of the diaspora. And probably many of you may know that about 100,000 students graduate high school and enter the college and universities of American academia from the Indian diaspora. And almost the same number, about 100,000 students come from India for pursuing higher education. So there is about an influx of 200,000 students. So it is a challenge to the leaders of the Indian diaspora community and as well as the government of India in devising the ways whereby there can be a more meaningful engagement of this young population in order to provide them the necessary exposure and necessary support and necessary pride and understanding about what a great civilization we inherit and come from, so that they will be able to make their befitting contribution, and it will be a tremendous a capital or a resource that is worth nurturing and cultivating. That is the point 2. Point 3, in American universities, the way India is generally represented or portrayed or defined, especially in the departments of humanities and social sciences, seems to be a lot to be desired. There's a tremendous amount of a skewed, distorted, and misrepresentation of India that happens. Basically talking about what is wrong with India, what is the problematic about India, about Indian poverty, about the caste system, about the Dalits, about the oppression of the women, about ethnic conflict. Now, every country, every civilization is bound to have something good, something bad, but this is what is predominantly emphasized. All the high school level also, an average student is not bound to feel proud about his Indian heritage. That is the type of education that is imparted. So there is a need for creating a new generation of scholars, civilizational scholars, who will be able to create a new narrative, a new story about who we are and what is the unique and distinctive contribution we are set to make to the world. And therefore, with that, the Dharma Solution Foundation, I'll just finish in 30 seconds, has undertaken, with the help of Jain and Sikh community also, creating 4 endowed chairs at the cost of $2 million each at the University of California, Irvine, to form a nucleus for a main to come up with this type of education, this type of at the in Northern California at GTU, Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley, one gentleman has given $4.4 million endowment to create a Center for Dharma Studies where a new MA PhD program will be soon being launched for creating new scholars in Indic civilizational studies. So with that, I would like to stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manoharji. Now, Ashish, from the Art of Living.
First of all, thank you. I'm privileged to be here with such distinguished panelists, and I'm really grateful for RPBD to organize this. My name is Ashish Pandya, and I'm an Art of Living volunteer and teacher for about 19 years. And one of the things that comes to my mind as I'm sitting here, and I was hearing the panel, that was here before us, that was mentioned in Vedas, is that deepening and strengthening the roots of our culture while advancing in the new technology is a sign of a successful community. When we can have both, right? Today, India is in development sector with our new Prime Minister, is doing a lot in technology. It has already established itself as one of the most leading force in this world when it comes to IT, when it comes to technology. Somewhere we have forgotten where the roots are. India is one of the most richest when it comes to cultural. And this is where I think events like this, panels like this, all of us coming together like this will really enhance the new generation to become more aware, to become more proud of what we have inherited. Yeah. Art of Living Foundation is doing a lot in this regards. You all probably already know about His Holiness Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who has done tirelessly for 35 years. Next year is going to be 35 years for this, and we are actually organizing World Cultural Festival that is going to invite 3.5 million people from 154 countries to celebrate diversity and unity. So, along with that, really understanding and channelizing the youth energy, right? Youth energy sometimes get diversified or mischanneled into anger, violence, or on the flip side of it, into suicidal tendencies by depression, right? Learning little bit about our own tendencies of the mind, the way it can channelize the energy into positivity, becoming proud of what we have inherited, right? Honoring this, respecting this, and moving along with together, I think is the mission and the vision of this diaspora, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ashish. Now let's turn to a couple of the young entrepreneurs. Pratima.
Hi, I'm Pratima Solanki. I'm a non-practicing physician, and as a first-generation born, I have a different outlook than due to my parents. I'm very fortunate. They taught us at a very early age that we're very fortunate to be born in this country and to be an American. But our heritage of who we were and our identity and our makeup is not only American, but it was Indian, and that we'd be very proud to be that joint venture. And then growing up, they always took the time for Diwali, which just passed, so happy Diwali. They took time to show us these little things. And they did their best in a time when India and the beliefs of India were not recognized. We were a minority compared to now. Now I can say I decided to go to India for med school due to my dad's love it. And as the years progress, I'm very proud I did go, and it's created a bond with me, not only as family members out there, but I've been able to see the rest of the country. When it comes to first generations and their interest, it starts at home. It starts at home when the parents are proud of who they are. And they recognize that there is a difficulty with acculturation, be a good blend, and to be proud of your identity. Once you realize that, that first step of violence, because that violence comes from insecurity. That violence comes from being lost and not knowing where your place is in society. Instead of feeling like an outsider, you're bringing more to the table with the culture you have. And that's what I was taught. And my father felt that he had opportunity to spread who we were, and he started the Yanunandan Trust at Cal State Long Beach to further Indian studies for not only Indians, but also Americans to understand who we were and see the riches of India. And that program has been continuing on, and the Cal State Long Beach has a teacher training program, and they also teach subjects about India in grade school. So we've been on this ongoing project about growing awareness through education. Instead of people looking at us as we're foreigners, or not recognizing the contributions that we have, the culture, the beauty, we have more opportunities because we've learned to work hard, and that is the work ethic that Indians have. And that's why our parents, or well, my parents, because I'm a first generation born, and those of you who come here, you come for a better life. But without recognizing where you come from, life is never as sweet.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So I can speak to my experiences involving youth in scientific pursuits and entrepreneurship in India. So I came to the US to do my PhD at California Institute of Technology. And my first company, based on my research, was started while I was still in university. Many Indian scientists have become successful entrepreneurs in California. And the key driver has been the culture of entrepreneurship in US that encourages trying new ideas, supporting those who do, and not seeing failure as shameful. So how can we create the same culture of entrepreneurship and scientific pursuits in India? How can we help the youth force in India do innovative commercial ventures? On my part, my company expanded research operations to Kolkata. Our goal was not to just take advantage of lower labor costs, but to tap into the originality and resourcefulness of young Indians. My startup has hired young graduates and trained them to become skilled researchers in Kolkata. And I'm happy to report that the original research carried out there led to 5 patents through the Indian Patent Office. Furthermore, the work has led to over 1 crore in new revenues. So I'm convinced this can be done. So the question is, how can we expand this small venture to something that impacts millions of youth in India? First, I'd say that the government of India can have the biggest impact in creating a culture of scientific entrepreneurship. The hard problem is addressing this with the educational system, but an easier step, the government can provide grants and funding for training and financing new scientific ventures. In the US, this has made a huge impact. I've been lucky to first create a successful business in the US and use my own funds to start operations in India. But the government can provide resources to millions of others who are like me, but who don't have the means to do so. Second, we have to think, what is it about the Indian culture that enables the Indian diaspora to be successful entrepreneurs? And the key is our values and also our culture of resourcefulness. We call this jugaad. we can take a dollar much further than others can. So I'd like to end this by repeating that the investment by the Indian government in scientific entrepreneurship will go a long way because of our resourcefulness and will make a huge cultural and economic impact in India.
So recently, I know Vandana and I were at the Indiaspora Forum, where our friend, Representative Joe Crowley, who is a congressman from New York, gave us an interesting idea. He said, he's Irish American, so he said the way they made Irish Americans more mainstream is to rally around St. Patrick's Day as their national holiday, right? And now if you look around in every city in the US, there's a St. Patrick's Day parade. It's pretty much a holiday in many cities. And so his whole challenge to the Indian American community was you can engage the entire community and become mainstream by using Diwali as that rallying cry. So why can't we make Diwali kind of the national celebration for Indian Americans and get Americans involved as well, right? So we followed that up last week with Diwali in DC. The ambassador was there. We had 1,200 people at the Library of Congress. We had 50 senators and congressmen come there. But that was not the important thing. The important thing was the next day, we had volunteers come to Capitol Hill. And there were quite a few young people as well, to go visit every congressman's office and become more activist. That's another way to engage youth, is to say, come to Washington, go visit congressmen, make your presence felt, right? So the question to this group, again, thinking of that as one idea, community here. So who wants to go first?
So that's brilliant. And I feel, you know, like, I mean, we do so many programs with the youth through youth empowerment seminars and things. One of the things that we do is to go and meet with returning war veterans. You know, today in United States, there are 32 war veterans that commit suicide every single day because of PTSD. And they have no idea of integrating it back into the society. They are running red lights on Santa Monica streets because they are afraid that if they would stop, a bomb would go off or something, right? So one of the things that we're doing with Art of Living Foundation is to really go and be part, you know, do some breathing and meditation with them. And a lot of our youth teachers are taking initiatives and doing that and becoming mainstream. And right now we are getting a huge recognition for that from the government, from the Congress, from the ideas that we can do.
Great idea.
Hello? Yeah. Well, coming from where I work from, I see that a lot of youth do get engaged when they learn about Akshay Patra. That's my field of focus. But I think, you know, to answer Emma's question, the youth that we see, and when I say youth, it means adults and young children who are born and brought up here. They not only possess a sense of conditioning that here is where my culture and my values are, but they also possess a very fierce independence. They are very focused on what they have to do. So if we go in that direction, you see that when we have a youth ambassadors program, we don't just say, okay, here's what you need to do, raise some money and let's do some good for the children in India. And creative ways to raise funds is to see how they can reach out. So we have had a lot of young people and reached out to the Jewish community who went out to non-Indians, so much so that they are involved in a cause that's outside of themselves, just based on the fact that it is serving to focus on a program that solves global hunger. Our children are our own, but the children on the other side of the planet are also our own. That's how they look at it. So engaging young people is by giving them a place where they can be leaders, where they can be innovators, not just in making money, but also in philanthropy, in bringing them together as a group and engaging them so that they brainstorm, they come up with new ideas, they find out the most cost-effective ways of raising funds, not just spend a lot of money to get a little bit. They do it with a lot of pride, and they do it with a lot of a sense of creative self.
Thank you. Manoharji, I know you wanted to talk about youth and especially in colleges.
There are a few, maybe the whole idea can be divided into three different parts. One, what can be done in India, what can be done for the Indian community in USA, and what can be done to the mainstream American community also. So our giving, our sharing, our contributing has to be at these three different levels. It may be that at certain period in time, one particular segment may take a little more focus and emphasis. So there are organizations like there is a Youth for Seva, where a lot of high school and college students are going to India for 6 weeks of internship and working in cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Pune, etc., and spending about 6 weeks in the summertime in order to participate in a variety of Seva projects. Similarly, there are some visitors who are going for Ekal Vidyalaya and visiting the tribal schools that are running in the tribal area and having a sense of a first-hand experience about what the life is there all about. Similarly, some family services and working for a disadvantaged segment of the society here also is a great necessity. There's one last comment I would like to make. One Professor R. Balasubramaniam in Mysore University has created a 2-month course where American students, both of American mainstream as well as Indian children, coming there for a 6 weeks course to learn about the entire sort of overview of the Indian culture. And he's being very regularly invited by Cornell and by Harvard to conduct a 10 days course also. So I think this may need to be popularized more. One professor from Cleveland Clinic by name Dr. Agrawal, he's taking about 20 to 25 students each year for about 15 days, a cultural, civilizational tour of India. They are picking up some important service centers and spiritual centers of one part of the India, like South India, North India, like that. Then a variety of ways we will have to encourage this activity to grow and expand.
Thank you. How about you youngsters there? What would you do with your peer group?
As a practical, the exchange university programs, they can have an opportunity to spend time in Indian universities and vice versa. This would lead to not just an exchange of scientific ideas, but as well as understanding of each other's cultures.
From what I've seen growing up, we started a youth association organization called YASC, which had 50 members, which was created when I was about 13, 14 years old. And it started with 4 of us just joking around, but it's because our parents believed in us, and we did $10 dues a year. And now it's easier. The dues were just for mailing the newsletter. That group has grown to be 150 people. Now we're all adults. But that was my parents' first thing was what was at home. Whatever they couldn't cover, Sunday, Mandir, going to Gujarati class, learning about religion. We had the Gujarati group in the Valley, which was absolutely phenomenal, where they still embraced American ideas, where we went camping, but they'd all get together and cook Indian food. So it's more of a community base. That's what India is. Now, the people who didn't as children, well, in college, our organization, and most universities now do have Indian associations. Now, I've graduated, and my friends have children, and they've developed their own Indian associations in the cities they are. You have things out there, and that's happened. But if you travel to India, I think creating something with all these Indian associations, a basic structural format of this organization is considered an organization, and you're a charter like sororities and fraternities. Basics, because the thing is, each Indian, even in their own household besides each state, we have a different set of rules. So it has to have a broad spectrum, and I think that would build the Indian community as a whole to when, like you're saying, Diwali, and we want to support making that a national, recognized nationally in America. Right now, there's all out pockets. Everyone has their Diwali event, and they're all united in their community, but we have nothing connecting us into this broad network system as a moving party who has substance, you know? So I think that our next level should be something where we organize charters with a little bit of variances. You have to give it, because each community is different, and there has to be acceptance of other communities.
Just a very brief comment I would like to make. Our Jain community has done some remarkable job for the last 10 years through an organization called International School for Jain Studies, taking about 15 to 20 university students and professors for a 4 to 6 weeks of a stay in India, where they are exposed to a variety of principles and teachings of Jainism. And today they have been, with a sustained investment of energy and effort, created about 400 students and faculty members who have a very remarkable exposure and familiarity with the Jain aspect of the Indic culture. So like that, a variety of projects need to be initiated and sustained over a period of time to get some tangible results. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're running out of time, and I know all of you are ready to eat lunch. So I just want to close with one diaspora engagement request. This is one of our projects we've taken on recently in diaspora called the Diwali stamp. So the key information here, there's a stamp, as all of you know, for Christmas. There's a stamp for Hanukkah. There's a stamp for Kwanzaa. There's also a stamp recognized by the U.S. Postal Service is Diwali. And the community has been trying for 15 years to get such. And also DiwaliStamp.com. And that gives you information on how to lobby your congressmen, your senators, for people really to get involved to get Diwali as a nationally recognized, not only stamp, but a holiday, and so on and so forth. So I just want to leave all of you with the thought. And I want to also thank the panelists one more time for the great ideas you've given us. So thank you once again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. M. Rangaswamy, and all the panelists. Thank you. And right now, obviously, lunch is being served, so please enjoy. And then we will begin our next session at 2 p.m. Yes, so enjoy your lunch.